Okay. Yeah, thank you for UBC to come to Dokolo and interact with me here. That's a great thing that UBC can reach everywhere in order to obtain information which is good for developing the country. I'm called Julius Odwe, and I'm a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police. I'm now 10 years in retirement and based in Dokolo.
First things first, the current attacks on police. What could have gone wrong?
Well, wrong people are always planning ahead. Just like the police and security agents keep planning. They also do plan what to do. Probably their interest was there to or access whatever they have got. The act of killing the police officers, as I've been told in Luero, is not the key matter, but because they think that such a police officer was an obstacle and they can take them by surprise so that they can reach the target of what they want. And that, as I have come to learn, it is about the gun. Whatever they are going to do with the gun is another matter.
So, did we have a similar scenario in Uganda previously, or probably during your tenure of office? Is something like this happen at that time?
Yeah, being 30 years in the police, it means I joined the police in 1981. When I joined the police, immediately after that, there was that NRA getting into the bush. And during my time, I was now in Umbale. I could get information that the NRA had attacked police posts in Luero and in a number of other neighboring areas. That is the only attack which I know. But of course, at that time, that attack is like a military force. It's not like thieves simply looking for guns to help themselves do other things or other criminal activities. That's one major one which I know. There have been some spot cases, small, or a bit different in other places where police posts have been attacked. Yeah.
Okay. I understand in early 2000, around there was a special branch actually named Operation Wembley. Why was it instituted?
Yeah, this Operations Wembley may not be called a special branch. In fact, when I was hearing you talking about special branch, I was talking about special branch, which was a department of the police running intelligence system for the police, so that the police should know what is happening in the country. They can now go and do operations which are based on intelligence. But this one where they are talking about special branch of Wembley, it is just an impromptu unit which was established to counteract robberies. Basically, police established that some of these robberies at that time, 2002, 2003, it was being operated by some of the military elements, either deserters or unruly soldiers. And when the police intelligence understood that it was partly perpetuated by military personnel, then national security discussed a solution and introduced that organization called Operations Wembley, because it was also being commanded by an army officer, so that we can subdue such elements. And indeed, it made a success. Yeah.
Okay, so why was it removed eventually?
Well, because it was a one-time exercise, probably lasting 1 year, and when the matter is over, it was no longer necessary for them to be on that duty. So the chapter was closed. If there were some soldiers doing that, some of them were arrested and prosecuted, and others who may have had the intention may be feared that they would be arrested also. So that was over, and there was no need. The normal police work was to continue. Yeah.
So in a scenario like this, do you see any relationship that probably could suggest that something like that? Or, by the way, you said that was not a special branch as such. So what is a special branch?
Special branch was a department of the police. At that time, 2002, we had we had 5 departments. There was Department of Administration, Department of Operations, Department of Criminal Investigation, Department of Special Branch, and then the Department of Local Administration Police. These departments, after we had been there with General Katuma Wamala, we decided to upgrade those departments to directorates. So Special Branch was one of them, but eventually Special Branch was wounded up during the time of Kaiwora, and it replaced with a directorate called Police Intelligence. So that's what is now going on.
Do you know any reason probably why it was removed or shifted to?
No, I'm thinking that there were some people who are not happy with the role of Special Branch in the past, because they were very, very accurate in collecting intelligence and making information available for operations. If somebody was disappointed with that, I don't know, but a system which is so good, you cannot be disappointed with it. I know a similar system was in Kenya during the Mau Mau, and they would tell the British exactly where the soldiers or the promoters of Mau Mau were doing certain things. And effectively, they would neutralize it. But when Jomo Kenyatta came into power, I came to learn that he cooled them and he said, you people you knew so much about us, but now those people are gone, the Europeans are gone, you are now going to work for us, and our enemies are still there. And that's what Jomo Kenyatta did. So when you have a good machinery, you should sustain it. You change the direction and let them do the same thing for you. But yeah, I don't know if that was the position, but if it was the position why they were wounded up, then they have not helped Uganda, because now a new system to come in place cannot be so competent. You must have understood, discussed, and like a policy. When you are introducing a new item, needs to be discussed because it affects a larger community. The people who benefit from that system are there. And when the gap is created, then they suffer, like in the case we are seeing now. Because whatever you have introduced, it could not be sufficient, cannot be knowing all corners and measures to help people get their security concerns resolved.
Maybe briefly try to help us understand how does a special branch operate that was able to come out with all these kind of achievements?
Special branch at that time was a police, I said, a department, which was operating like ISO today. But they were very systematic and they could not be known. They are so secretive. Even when you go to the office, you cannot see paper in their office. They cannot talk anyhow. And they would be in a drinking place and nobody would identify them with the police. They can say that I'm in the Department of Administration in the district or in the sub-county. I'm just an office messenger. So they would be doing their work. If it is like border these days, would say I'm a border rider. But they would be collecting intelligence and they would be able to go in the villages. They would gather information and they would grade that information, and then they would profile it, that this one is for operations, this one is useless, this one can be worked on. And they would grade it and say that this one is a political problem, this is a commercial or a business problem, this one is administrative, this one is a real security problem. And when it is given out, then whoever is responsible would be mandated now to follow and implement.
Wow. where we are, if you were in charge, what would you really do or recommend to be done to curtail the current ugly scenes we are seeing?
Yeah, government is not running things off-head. There are laws and policies there. We have the Constitution, which tells who is responsible for what, as police, as government, as the community. It is there. Roles of the citizens, what do they do in terms of security? We also have the National Security Act, which has disaggregated responsibility at the national level, National Security Council, National Security Committee, District Security Committee, District Intelligence Security Committee, and sub-county. So this has already been well established, well structured, well deployed, but there could be negligence. There could be negligence instead of, like in a national security, they meet every week. But in a district, they may not be meeting every week. And in a sub-county, they may not even meet in a year. If the RDC would try to profile what is going on in a sub, you might find that they are just seated in the office. They even don't know that the law is in operation. So when there is that absence of responsibility, yes, the thieves, the thugs, they know. They say, these people don't understand anything. They will not catch us. Even if they have put their CCTV, they have done what, they are even not paying attention. So we can go ahead and do what it is. So the security system at the sub-county being a very fundamental point that can involve the participation of elders, certainly organizational institutions, religious, cultural, and find out this matter which has happened, who is responsible. They would even discuss it at a LC1 level. And they would come up, then they would be able to expose the thugs or the wrong elements. And they would know that whatever they are going to do would be what? Would not be possible. So structurally, the law is there. But operationally, there are basic areas or basic activities. That's community policing in terms of the Uganda police. They must reach out to people, let them know that we have so far gathered a lot of issues affecting your area. Why is it coming? What is the problem? What can we do? What can you do? Then everybody would be concerned. Otherwise, people would be in the village, they would care, they would not care. And at the end of the day, a problem would come up. So with that one, it's okay. When you speak to people, they would know. But also the other problem could be that the police have not been doing such a thing, or they have been doing a different thing, creating problems instead of solutions. If they have not been working in a good relationship with the public will ignore them, even if the public themselves are the ones going to suffer. Like now I've heard that they would be closing police posts. The public will be the one to suffer, not the police. So at the end of the day, working with a good relationship with the community is very important. Then the other one is gathering of intelligence. These officers are there. If the government says the lowest level of the police operation is a sub-county, police can still go ahead to establish outside that area where the problem is or bigger cases are occurring, so that they would be able to access proper information. And they would discuss this. When the problem is much, are they discussing it every week? Are they discussing it every month? But when you now have a gap of discussing every month, yes, the thieves know that they will not come. They are waiting for 1 month, then they would understand. So the intelligence system must be followed up, must be addressed, must be communicated, must be operationalized. If it is not there, they have not gathered intelligence. The thieves know, the wrong elements know. They can do what they want.
Wow. Maybe very briefly, is closing the outpost a good solution?
No, that is a great mistake. I can only recommend a closure of a police post in a war situation, where war has become rampant and dangerous. It means that the police can only police the community in a peaceful environment. If crimes are there, 1, 2, 3, yes. But when war is there, then the policing of the community is not possible. So the police can be closed. And the law also says that when that kind of situation happens, the police would be a support force to the army. They would join the army and fight that war together. So when we are without any war, there's no need to close the police post. They should not attempt to do that. Instead, we should reinforce that kind of police unit which is affected. Like in the case in 2009, when there was chaos in Kayonga, we could not close the police post. Instead, we know there's a system in the police which is called 25% of a force to be on standby. So that is emergency force, and the police knows about the emergency force. Police knows about contingency planning. So that emergency force would be used, can be drawn from any part of the country and be used to reinforce instead of closing the police force. So when we reinforce, we will be able to severe the situation against the thieves or thugs or robbers, whatever it is.
Lastly, you earlier shared with me before the interview that probably what we are seeing could not be just mere taking of guns, could be something else. What is that?
Yeah, ordinarily one would say, okay, thugs have raided the police and they have taken the guns. Guns for what? Ordinarily, it is to go and shoot someone dead, to go and steal property so that they have enough weaponry. But looking at that, that is the simplistic way of viewing that problem. It could be more because you never know what they already have. Maybe they wanted just a few guns to top up their force. And they could be fighting government. If somebody is not happy with the government, so if they can have a reasonable force, like you are aware that NRA went to the bush with 27 men. I don't know whether they had 27 guns. If they had 20 guns, they needed only 7 guns to make them more powerful as 27 unit, which is armed. So they could have been topping up in order to do something much more than just thuggery and criminal activity. So it can be anti-government, it can be political. And the intelligence people needed to analyze, as I said, in the past, the special branch would look at this. Is it political? Is it mere security? Is it a mere crime? Is it what? So out of that, then they would know definitely this is a bigger problem than mere crime. Yeah.